Da, 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 da. Yo. Today, we are going to be covering Iron Lung. This movie was made by Markiplier, and I've been wanting to do this ever since I saw it in January, but I had no actual way to get the footage. But now with the movie being on YouTube, it's easy to just grab it and just put it in my editor. So yeah, it's a perfect time to do it, because it's trending again. Anyways, starting video. Before we start the actual video, let me tell you about what Iron Lung is about. We follow a convict named Simon who explores an ocean of blood on a desolate moon in a small rusty submarine that they nicknamed the Iron Lung.
Want a tour of my room? This is it.
This movie takes place after the Quiet Rapture, which was an event which took place in 357 EIC, or the equivalent of 2349 AD. Anyways, Quiet Rapture is when every known star and planet with sentient life suddenly vanished, leaving no trace of the planet or the people who were living on that planet. The only people who survived this event were those who were in space stations or starships at the time. But that's basically the rundown of Iron Lung. So let's begin the breakdown. The movie starts out with Simon being lowered into the blood ocean.
Yo, bro, I can't see in front of me. Can you, give me some light?
No.
Dang.
But I will put on some soothing tunes.
Oh my gosh! What did I do to deserve this? Put me out of my misery!
So they put Simon in the Iron Lung without even testing it. And apparently they called this the test. Like, that cannot be legal, right? They don't even know why Simon is down here. They just sent him down here just because it's funny. They told him not to go into the red. So you want to know what they do? They put him in the red! How are you gonna tell bro to not do something, but then go back on it and not answer him when he starts panicking about it? Like, bro! They reach the floor and Simon can finally stand up.
Man, you guys really do suck.
Simon finds the manual and tests out the camera, and he finds a map to see where he's going. It's the exact same one from the actual game. He marks the point of interest and starts his journey. Simon's mission is to photograph the points of interest, and if he photographs them all, they promised him freedom. Simon uses the camera as a way to get his bearings and actually know what's going on around him. And he doesn't just use it once or twice, he uses it a whole bunch of times. This will be more important later. Simon mentions that it's super hot down where he is, and there's blood dripping down from the roof, which gets on Simon and he rubs it off, then starts the Iron Lung again, and then something starts beeping. We know what this is. We have some... Personally, I have some beef with this, but we know what this is, but Simon doesn't. So he goes to the x-ray machine and checks it out. And the x-ray machine, I know I used to call it a camera, with a skeleton. So Simon walks back, but the entire Iron Lung starts shaking. But it ended up being a nothing burger because it just slowed down. Until it didn't, it went back up. Bodies! Simon and the captain radios in, asking the status of Simon. Ava, the captain, wants to know if Simon fell and want to know if there's any leakage. Simon panics, saying to just throw him in prison and he's done because he does not want to deal with this, because there's something down in that ocean with him. Ava tells Simon that if there's a leakage, that will cause flooding, meaning he dies. So he quickly calms down and tells her that everything seems fine. They bring him back to the surface. He tells them that there's something alive down there, but they don't listen because apparently they're politicians. Maybe there's something down there, maybe. In fact, I need you to go back down there and get me a sample. So they tell Simon to ram it as hard as they can with the sub, but he really doesn't want to do it, but Ava ignores him, and to get her attention, Simon presses the x-ray button, which Ava yells at him for. How are you gonna not tell somebody it's an x-ray machine and then yell at them when they use it to get your attention? Like, what? These guys are stupid. This scene shows that it's not just a skeleton, and what he saw was a living creature instead of a dead one. Well, they might be dead now, but they send him back down. A new person is the captain right now because Ava has been sent to the infirmary. Simon asks if everybody is okay. It's dark, so Simon uses the x-ray machine as a way to see inside. Next to the computer, he sees a small hatch. He opens it and finds wires with a note in it. The note says to cross the wires, so he does. Doing this turned on the computer, and an audio played. This audio gives some interesting information. We learned that this isn't an expedition, but an execution. They do not want Simon to return, and even if he does return, they're just gonna kill him on the spot anyways. And they've been lying to him about his freedom. He's not getting out of here. So he basically just accepts his fate and continues his mission. He keeps taking pictures of the point of interest. Simon finally finds the creature that he's been looking for, but he loses it. So he turns the ship and then finally finds it again. By the way, in the book, it says to use the x-ray machine at your own risk. That would have been helpful 30 minutes ago! The creature shakes the Iron Lung and gives Simon that ultimate finish. Knocked him out to a dream, but Simon wakes up and tapes the x-ray machine on. He did this because the Iron Lung's power was off. So he went under the sub to restart it, which took him a bit of time because it was a small area and he didn't know what he was really looking for. But eventually he got it. Back upstairs, the buzzer starts beeping. Simon looks at the window and sees an eyeball. I did not realize this was here when I was watching it in the movie theater. This is scary. The creature moves above the iron lung and the computer starts saying hull bridge or something over and over again. And the window slowly starts to crack until it busts and Simon gets a face full of blood. The computer adds fire to the hull bridge. So Simon looks back and sees fire from where he just came from. He quickly puts it out, but the computer still will not shut up. So
Cocomelon!
and bro destroys the speaker. Bro needs to get that anger under control. Like, I know you're gonna die and stuff, but like, bro, come on now. Anyways, he lost contact with the COI, meaning they have no idea where he is. Not like they were really looking for him. Simon continues his mission, but eventually finds a creature that has been following him. Simon tries talking to it like he can understand it. Actually, it probably can't. But he said, if anybody comes down here looking for Simon, tell them that he's still alive. The thing is, Simon himself knows that he's cooked. So he's just doing this for the love of the game at this point. He keeps taking the pictures, but with the eye monster from before creeping behind him. Well, technically in front, but you know, who cares? But this time, he's not actually scared of it. He just keeps going. Seems like he has a little bit of hope that he's going to be able to go home, but let's be honest, it's not going to happen at all. But he keeps moving forward until he starts falling asleep. Well, I believe he's falling asleep, but let's be honest, it's probably a flashback. He flashes back to the War of COI and Eden, the very war that even got him into this place. But more on that later. He checks the x-ray machine again and finds a sub, which reminds me, you guys should totally sub to me. I mean, what? Simon is confused about the submarine, but that gets interrupted by the computer crashing out. Simon tries to fix what's going on, but gets shocked in the process. But doing that showed all the pictures that he has taken. So Simon scrolls through them before saying, it's not my problem. He is dedicated to getting this mission done. He really wants to go home, bro. Simon maps out the area until eventually he goes into a cave and the speaker starts working a little bit. So he goes back to where he was starting to speak. Is that a body? I genuinely cannot tell. Eventually the speaker fully does come on though. And on the other end is Ava. Or at least I think it's Ava. I'm pretty sure it's Ava though. Simon's oxygen drops down to 1. Remember this? Simon asks Ava if she can just continue talking to him. And Ava says, what's the point? You'll just run out of oxygen faster. So Simon stops wanting to talk to her. Ava's voice gets a little bit more distorted, but I'll tell you why in just a second. Simon tells Ava that he thinks that he might have a concussion, but the lack of oxygen doesn't help either. Simon tells Ava that he's been seeing things and that he's slowly been losing his mind down here. He asked if it's so wrong to just want to live, because he feels like it is, and nobody wants him to live. He wants to know which one is more likely. Full planet disappearing, or just some satellites. Because they don't fully know if they're the ones that disappeared, and it's a very high possibility that they are the ones that disappeared. But they don't really know. But he completely gives up hope. He believes that he's going to die in the iron lung, because they did not care enough about him to put an extra tank of oxygen inside of it. Ava tells him her coordinates for him to go to her, promising him that he will get out. Someone writes down the coordinates. Also, I don't think this is Ava anymore. And then he ventures off until the person on the speaker asked a personal question about Filament Station and what happened to it. Filament Station is the area that blew up earlier in the film. Simon said he was the only one trying to stop it. He was betrayed by his people, so COI captured him and sent him into the iron lung. The person on the other side of the speaker starts acting strange after the iron lung starts shaking. So he checks the x-ray machine and sees what we can only guess is the Tree of Eden. Eden was the faction that Simon was on. He realizes that the speaker isn't even plugged in, but the other voice is still speaking to him. The iron lung shakes and the window breaks, spreading this massive light across the iron lung. The monster swims past him, consuming the iron lung. Simon is to the surface of the blood ocean and looks up and sees the eel in front of him. The eel goes under the blood and he slowly looks up and sees the eye. The eye calls him Butcher and he wakes up from the hallucination spitting blood. In his blood, he sees the eye but ignores it. He goes back to his chair and sees the old guy from Filament Station slowly turning back to him. He hides and arms himself. He hears the old guy walking towards him, so he goes out to attack, but nobody's there. This is the moment when Simon actually thinks he's losing it. The speaker starts up again, and this time it's actually Ava. And we know this because he tugs on the cord, but it's connected. Simon still believes that it's not real. So he asks Ava how many people were in the room when he sprayed them with radiation. Ava says 3 and gets it right, but he still doesn't believe her. So he asks her what his name is. And Ava says that they never got his name. And that is actually insane. They were going to send him down here and they didn't even know his name. They were trying to get him killed and they didn't know his name. Just think about that. Like, it's genuinely so insane. These guys are the villains. Also, for these next few minutes, sorry if it seems like I'm a little bit aggressive, but I just want to do this properly because this is God. Simon tells Ava that he just wants to go back up and he's done. Ava says that it's impossible and that she cannot risk bringing him back up and that it's not worth it even for the samples. You know, the reason why he even came down there in the first place. Simon says that he's innocent and had nothing to do with it, but it doesn't matter because it's too much of a risk. So let's get this straight. They sent an innocent-ish man down there to die for no reason, didn't know his name, and the promised freedom, in quotations, never comes because it's too much of a risk for them to come back up. What? You guys deserve to get that thing blown up. Simon tells Ava that he found another submarine, the SM-8. By the way, this sub is what they need. Simon says that it started downloading something from the SM-8, something about a black box. This box holds secrets about the ocean and the mysterious light that we saw earlier. He tells Ava that if she wants it, she has to come down here and get him so that she can get it. Which honestly seems fair. He didn't get the bone, but he came back with something way better. Ava agrees to those terms, and even says that if he gets the black box, she'll go down there and get him herself. He has 30 minutes to go get the black box or she leaves. Ava gives him the code to the computer. Once he's in, Ava gives him 30 minutes, like I said. Ava keeps saying that this is bigger than them, and that all of humanity will be saved if Simon gets this box. Simon finally learns Ava's name, and Ava finally learns Simon's. And Simon is out of there! He thinks about the first conversation that they had, where she put him into the iron lung. With these memories, we learn that Simon really is a murderer. That's why he was called a butcher. He had the most blood on his hands than anybody else in Eden. During the scene, we realize that the iron lung is slowly turning organic, but he finds the SM-8, and once he gets close enough, it automatically starts downloading. And once it's fully uploaded, an audio log starts. There's 2 women in the SM-8. This was the research sub, and that Simon's is basically just a pile of garbage, bruh. These 2 researchers were set down to collect samples from the light. Simon realizes that the iron lung is slowly becoming organic, and that he basically has to hurry up. Blood drips down onto his hand, and blood is slowly filling up the iron lung. Blood drips down onto his forehead and burns him. So he takes off his bandages and sees that his entire arm is burnt. Ava tells Simon that he has to go into the crawl space and retrieve something. Around this time as well, the monster starts speaking to Simon. Ava basically tells Simon that the deal is off even though he already got it. She tells him not everybody gets to be saved and that this is important. The monster tells Simon to destroy the data and tell her that the SM-8 is lost. Honestly, I'm Team Monster! I will do whatever the monster says because this woman has lied to me multiple times! But Simon does what Ava wants and goes down into the crawl space where lots of blood is. He's looking for the black box in the crawl space. The monster finally kills Ava and blames Simon for it, saying that her blood is on his hands. The monster really does not want any research on the light to be discovered. Simon retrieves the black box and straps a life jacket onto it until the monster attacks the iron lung and his arms get connected to the sides of it. Simon has to rip off one of his arms, and he takes the box one more time and whispers to himself as if he's talking to his mother, saying to take care of it until the monster puts his teeth into the iron lung while calling Simon the butcher. So that makes him mad and really acts like the butcher. He starts beating on the teeth and even breaks a tooth, and the monster screams in pain, then starts aggressively shaking the iron lung, covering Simon in blood. Now I need you guys to try to understand what I'm about to say next. Simon turns into a tree. He turns into the tree of Eden, and the monster explodes, with the movie ending with the black box going to the surface. And that's Iron Lung! So you guys might have some questions, because I know I sure did. Like, who was on the other side of the speaker? And why did Simon turn into a tree at the end? Well, I'm gonna answer those 2 questions, because any other question I do not know the answer to. Starting first with the girl on the speaker. This is clearly the monster. We know this because towards the end of the movie, the eel starts speaking to Simon in their voice. Now the question is, why? Why did the eel do this? To manipulate Simon. And who is the monster copying? Well, those are the 2 voices in the SM-8 submarine. And these 2 likely got mutated into the monster. As for the next question, why did Simon turn into the Tree of Eden? Well, this one's kind of easy to explain, but throughout the movie, Simon carries a little medallion. That medallion has the seed from the last tree in it. Simon was a part of a cult on Eden Station, using the prayer, "Our bodies will become the soil." So Simon becoming the Tree of Eden was fulfilling the prophecy, but the seed and the blood mixed. So instead of mutating into a monster like everybody else who's gone down here, Simon mutated into the Tree of Eden. Hope that made sense. Alright, that's gonna be the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, and all that. You know, when I watched this in January with my mother, she was like, man, that was stupid. But she didn't study up on it. And she did the exact same thing whenever we watched Backrooms not too long ago. But for that movie, the entire time, she was asleep. So whenever she said that, I responded with, bro, You cannot be talking if you went to sleep at the beginning of the movie. You cannot be talking at all. But both movies I enjoyed very heavily. I don't know if that's just something wrong with me or if everybody else is just lying. But yeah, if you guys enjoy, like I said, like, subscribe, and all that, and bye.